What up, thou? Live and direct, fresh on a Monday. I'm right here with my man Marley Betts from Brothers and Bets. We about to get this thing going. This gonna be our first official show connection, but we
No,
got
dog.
plenty more lined up for y'all. So y'all just stay
Thanks.
tuned, have some fun, vibe with us. We're gonna vibe with you. Make sure you hop in the chat, ask questions or anything. But today's topic is the top 5 coaches and their replacements going into college football in 2022. But let my man Marley give the folks a little bit about who he is, what he do, and all that good stuff, and then we're gonna take off into this show, man.
What's up with it, man? Appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Chilling with the legend himself, Mr. DJ Big Boss, him and Ragoo in the gang at Who-Bangin. Man, you said it all, man. I'm Marley Betts. Me and my boy Coach and Mikey Hover, we host Brothers and Bets over there on our channel, man. I'm just a dude that loves sports, and making money. And it's simple as that.
Yeah, I peep y'all status over there, and y'all serious about the making money part. But so sometimes, the shows, they come sometimes, they have a good time, sometimes be well. And every time you tune in, the bets and the money part is always right there, man. So make sure y'all follow and subscribe and hit that notification button, because when they giving out cash. Y'all like cash? Going over with Brothers and Bets, and definitely stay right here with Who-Bangin. Let me send a quick tweet out to all my people on Twitter. Let them know where we at, so they could come in and hop in the chat. You know what I'm saying? And follow along with us as we going into this coaching thing. Now, me myself, I do use the Phil Steele and also the Athlon to get a lot of my information. Just so y'all know, I ain't just out here making this shit up on my own. But,
how about that right there?
Yeah.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? That
we
right there. You know what I'm saying?
Own it, dog.
Yeah. We don't mess around. This is the real deal. This ain't. You
we
know
own
what I'm
it.
saying?
I'm on it all the way around, dog. I'm getting ready. It's that time of year, dog.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I'm fun with somebody as excited as I am, man, because it's just been a big learning process digging into each one of these little things and finding out little pieces that's going on and my expectations of going into the next season. But let's jump right into this big one, man. First off, man, my man Lincoln Riley comes from Oklahoma over to USC. Now let's get into Lincoln Riley a little personally. He's 38 years old. This is his 6th year overall coaching as a head coach. He's 55-10 as a head coach to this point. As a player, he was a QB for Texas Tech back in 2002. As a coach, he started 2003 through 21 as a student, grad assistant, player coach, wide receiver, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and assistant head coach, all while at Texas Tech, East Carolina, Oklahoma, and now he's at SC. So his biggest accolades is 4 Big 12 championship. He's 1-3 in bowl games, and 0-3 in college playoffs. So he got some work to do. He's coming over here trying to get over the hump, and we're going to take a look at that. But check this out, Marley. He coming over to the tune of $110 million. USC bought both his homes, his house in Oklahoma, for over $500,000, the action price on each property, to give him a bonus of $1 million. And then USC bought him a $6 million house out here and 24/7 access to a private jet so they can go back and see their kids and stuff in Oklahoma. Did you live to see this day that it came out like this?
Woo, Hey, I'm slobbering. It was. I heard all that money coming out. Man, I didn't know man had access to a private jet anytime I wanted to leave. Say USC, sign me up. I would have left Oklahoma ass too.
For real, man. I mean, I would say he definitely got the sweetest deal in college football right now, man. The house is nice too, man. It's in a nice area. It's nice, $6 million house, and that was all a part of the agreement. They wanted to stay in contact with their people back in Oklahoma and all that good stuff. So they allowed it, man, and that's what they did. But this is USC, big private school. They got the bread to do this kind of stuff. So
that's what they got to do. I mean,
that's what they got to do. So let's take a look at what hand Lincoln Riley's dealt with USC coming into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year USC was 4-8. They averaged 28 points per game, 31 points allowed per game on defense. So they were upside down, allowing teams to score more than they were actually scoring on the offensive side, which is big problems, man. That's big problems. They're returning 8 on offense and 3 on defense, which we'll dig into that and see how that go. At quarterback, they got Oklahoma transfer, so we got a player following the coach, Caleb Williams. This guy is pretty good, man. You watch his highlight tape and all that good stuff. He's the real deal. And then they got running back transfers, Travis Dye from Oregon and Austin Jones from Stanford, with hopes of freshman Relique Brown and others to step up at the running back spot. At the receiver spot, he has transferred Mario Williams from Oklahoma, another player following coach Terrell Bynum from Washington, Brendan Rice from Colorado, and big start Jordan Anderson from Pittsburgh. And then on the offensive line, they lose 2 from last year's unit, add transfer Bobby Haskins. So they still kind of bleeding at the line because they bled at the line a little bit last year. At the defensive line spot, they have experienced returners, 3 transfers from Kansas State, TCU, and Wyoming. At linebacker, they have experienced returners and added impact transfers, Shane Lee from Alabama, Eric Gentry from Arizona State, and Romel Hyatt from Auburn. At defensive back, they lost 4 starters from last year, but add transfers from Colorado, Ohio State, Washington, and also Oklahoma. So as a total, USC has 14 transfer players that he's trying to plug and play in these spots for a team that was upside down. So how do you feel about that, Marley?
So I like the hire. Let's start there. I obviously his record at OU. I think it speaks for itself. He went to 4 consecutive straight Big 12 titles. He's coached 2 Heisman Trophy winners. So I think Caleb Williams is going to be fine at the quarterback position. Obviously, he's transferring over with the coach, so he's going to know the offense. I think all the transfers and all the turnover at the start of the season, it might start a little slow. That'll be something to watch as far as from a betting perspective. But man, to be honest with you, Big Boss, I'm not a Pac-12 guy. Like, I think the Pac-12 is soft. So I think when you are UFC and you got a Lincoln Riley, like, it should be a cakewalk. With the talent that he's gonna bring in, I think it'll take a couple weeks, like I said, because they're gonna have to adjust. But with the talent that he's gonna bring in from this year's recruiting class, with the talent that he's already gotten in the transfer portal, with the air raid offense that he's gonna produce. Now, one thing we do know, whether they start slow or early, the offense is going to score points this year. So I don't think they're going to have to too much. The point differential will change. Defensively, though, that's what worries me. He's not known for his defense, nor was Oklahoma known for defense. So I'm not sure who he's bringing. I think he's bringing the same coordinator with him. I'm not. Alex Greenwich. I wrote it down. Alex Greenwich is going to be the defensive coordinator. That's going to be the only thing that's going to be holding this team back, in my opinion. I expect them to finish the top of the Pac-12 just with talent alone. That was kind of USC's biggest problem. They didn't have a coach that could keep the California kids in California. You look at Ohio State quarterback, California kid. Bryce Harper, Alabama, California kid. All the California kids that used to stay at USC is fucking leaving to go to ain't shit in Alabama. Like you said, Lincoln Riley going to the weather, to the beach, to Hollywood. Like, everything is in USC in California, and you got these kids that's leaving to go to fucking Ohio State in Cleveland. There's nothing going on out there. At Alabama, there's nothing going on out there. So now that you got the rock star coach, that's a good coach, the recruiting is automatically going to pick up, in my opinion. So I think they're going to be fine. Ultimately, I like what Lincoln Riley does. He has to step it up in ball games, though. That 1-3 ball game record, that shit is not going to fly. He shouldn't have been flying to Oklahoma, but I get it. You're in the Big 12 that can't really compete with those SEC teams. But now we got no excuses, big dog. So you have to earn that big ass paycheck. And salute, man. I don't hate nobody getting that money, man. Salute to that big ass paycheck that man got.
That's a lot of money to earn right there, man. But me being being a Notre Dame fan, and I got a little
I know you hate
shade to
them.
throw on them. I got a little shade to throw on them though, but always logically speaking, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely, they can win the Pac-12.
Right.
I'm gonna give them that. But if it's impressive enough to get them into a college playoff game, we'll have to see where everybody else lands, because we got a couple teams, that's kind of locked in right now, because Alabama, they looking locked in. So and still only got the 4 spots. So until this thing opens up some more to allow other schools to get a chance, then SC might not make it that far. But I think he smashed the Pac-12, because it's not really much left there in
Oregon,
the Pac-12.
about,
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe Utah. Maybe
Utah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not much.
Arizona State is on their last legs. They got to do something or get on. So it's damage over there. And now that they talking about SC and UCLA leaving the conference, then that's making it even a worse picture. Like this whole Pac-12.
Before we move on, how you think they gonna do in that Big Ten? USC. How you think Lincoln Riley and USC gonna do in the Big Ten?
I don't know. Like, it's not the first time that merged different teams to different conferences, but every conference has its culture. You know what I'm saying? Either they run, they pass, and have their strengths and minuses, and they recruit according to that. So hopping out like that, I'm sure there's going to be parts where the West Coast air raid, quarterbacks and receivers are going to excel versus some teams, but maybe they can't really contain the run on the other side. So it's going to be difficult to see. And that's not to mention the travel miles that these players going to get in. They have to go out and see Rutgers, Nebraska, so yeah, it's not going to be nothing nice right there. But they'll probably soften that up and keep the Notre Dame rival, keep a couple of little rivals on the map so they don't have to do as much travel. But as far as this year, though, it could be a building process this year, because we've never seen the plug and play transfer player thing really work yet. So he could get some people to come over there. But I mean, with all the talent right here in the state, it's really no reason to be having to bring that over there. But there's a big clash to me, even though the news come out and say, "Oh, it's great." They opened up the practice forum for everybody to come out and made a big deal out of the spring game. So, but Lincoln Riley's a strict guy, and these West Coast players, they wild out. They into all kinds of stuff. He got to keep them out of that dispensary and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first thing he did when he came over there, was try to lay the line that he not playing. So it's going to take some players that get mad and get on and whatever. So I think it's a building process. This is year 1. We may see him slip up once or twice. Like you said, the defense is going to be the same. Like, I believe coaches carry their bad traits with them. Unless he got a quick result to, fix for that defense right away when he gets there, or that's what he's going to, then it's going to be the same thing over here, man.
That's not what he does. So nothing leads me to believe that he's going to go over there and hire a stud DC and they going to start holding people to 14, 20 points a game. That's not what he does. So,
yep.
I don't even think he cares.
Yeah. That's it in a nutshell, man. Let me give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. My man Nasty Nate over there. He says his nephew's out there. Lil James 2.0, G Martinez, Carenzo Latner. We got a nice crowd showing up. I appreciate everybody showing up, man.
Nate, I see Nasty Nate in the piece. What's up, Nate?
Yeah, Nate says, let me blast that real quick. Nate says, look out for my nephew, Thomas Wyford, starting tight end, New Mexico State. That's what's up, man.
I fuck with New Mexico State, dog. They all right.
Last year they was a shocker in the air, man. Those guys got some run and catch things. I seen them live playing San Diego where they almost tapped that ass at the beginning of the season. Almost. That San Diego defense just was too much pressure.
That's your league, right?
Yeah. That's my spot right there, the Mountain West. But San Diego State defense, it's just too much pressure, bro. Even though they came out and threw it on them in second half, and San Diego State was lost on offense, and still one of the touchdowns that helped win the game was the score on defense. So yeah, New Mexico State, though, they did a couple teams like that, and then they just kind of bored towards the end of the season, and they went right back where we thought they was going to be. Look out for them this year, man. So that's Lincoln Riley, man. We're going to go to the next one, man.
Yeah.
Next, I don't understand this one, too. Big Ragoo shed a little light on this one, but your guy, Mario Cristobal from Oregon, he goes over to Miami, and I don't understand this thing like, everybody wants to attach the old school to the new school. Just get the best coaches and the best players. Don't try to get the guy because he out of the city or he was there. But this guy, he came from back in the day in the Jimmy Johnson era. So they looking to go.
That's the problem to me. You got to get some new blood, like new blood, new direction, new shit in. What's up, SBO? Roll Tide. We ain't got there yet, goddamn it.
Hey, we got the Roll Tide in our content that we got out there. Go check the library. We already bust that down for you, but shout out to the Roll Tide. But this guy Mario Cristobal, he comes in 51 years old, 11th year coaching, overall record 62-60. I don't think the guy is a great coach yet. But here's his opportunity to stand behind his experience and where he came from, and maybe they can get some greatness out of him. But he's an ex-Miami offensive tackle, 1989 to 1992, the Jimmy Johnson era, played some NFL and NFL Euro. As a coach, he started out in 1998 and to right now, positions including general assistant, player coach at offensive tackle, tight end, offensive line, recruiting coordinator, offensive coordinator, and head coach. He's a coach for schools such as Miami, Rutgers, FIU, Alabama, and Oregon. His accolades are a 2 Pac-12 championship and 1 Sun Belt championship. Now, this guy signs a deal right here. Not a bad deal. Nothing like Lincoln Riley, but this guy goes 10-year deal, $80 million.
They gave him 10 years, though? Jesus Christ, that's a long time.
Fuck, yeah, 10-year deal.
It's 10 years? Wow. That's nice. That's crazy. Okay. See, that's what you get when you got the familiarity and history with the team and yada, yada, yada. And
because he played on the Cons. He played on the Cons team.
So now you're going to get he's a Hurricane. He's an alum. When the glory, I'm gonna bring back the glory days, all that bullshit. And and personally, I mean, at FIU, he went 27-47. Like I don't know. I mean, Oregon, he went 35-13 overall. Again, I'm not big on the Pac-12, man. So what he did there, it's like you play, your tough games are USC. Maybe you get Stanford in a physical game here and there, and then maybe Utah, but your talent should beat everybody with the exception of USC. So for you to go 35-13, yeah, you shouldn't blow it. I'm not going to take away anything from you. From what I read about him, apparently he's like an elite recruiter. That's his thing. So if he can keep we all know, in my opinion, my humble opinion, Miami, Texas, California, 3 best football. If you want to throw the Big Ten area in there, I don't want to hate on the Big Ten area. But from my experience, and yes, I am a homer. I'm H-Town, Texas till I die. So, but with that being said, Texas, Florida, Cali, those are your 3 major football recruiting grounds. This is where you want to. If your team is not full of some of these kids, then you're doing something wrong in recruiting wise. So if he can keep those Miami kids away from Florida and away from the FIUs and the Florida States, and like you said, so if he can keep those guys at the U, then he can get to those glory days. But we'll get to Florida a little later. I like their coaching change. I'm not so big on Cristobal, man. I'm kind of a show me. I need to see it, and to give him 10 years, that's crazy to me, man. I didn't know he got that amount of time, man. But hey, good luck to the Hurricanes. Good luck to the Hurricanes this year, man. I don't know. I mean, to me, it just says alum. That's what that move says to me.
man. We're gonna keep the money in the house. That's
Right.
probably what it's all about when it comes down to the alumni. But last year, Miami went 7-5, averaged 34 points a game, gave up 28 points on defense. They returned in 7 on the offense, 7 on the defense. At quarterback, they got step up freshman Van Dyke, who should start with some depth behind him. At running back, led by last year's Thaddeus Franklin, they added transfer Henry Parrish from Ole Miss and some other new recruits. At wide receiver, last year's Charleston Rambo and Mike Harley, and they add transfers Frank Ladison from Clemson, plus a little more depth. On offense, only 3 starters back. I mean, at the O line, only 3 starters back, but may have some talent within the depth. But this is a unit where Cristobal excels at, so we expect the best for him to put that line together. And then on the defensive line, only 1 starter return, but they add 5 transfers. Mitchell from UCLA, Akeem from Western Virginia, Jacob from USC, and Daryl from Maryland, and Antonio from UAB. So they went to all some big schools and tried to grab some of these good recruited linemen who sitting behind some of these great linemen. I mean, defensive linemen that they got at these big schools. So I don't know how that's going to work. You taking a third, maybe 4th string player, and you take him and bringing him in as the man. And I believe in college football, it's levels to this shit. Like, some players can only play great in high school, shit in college. Great in college, shit in the NFL. Rarely do you find these athletes. That's why they're so great in the NFL, that can excel at every speed change, at every weightlifting challenge change, at all the changes on all the levels. They continue to exceed. So, that's a lot on that right there. At linebacker, they got 5 experienced returners, new defensive coordinator Kevin Steele from Auburn. At defensive back, they returned 2 from last year, and Al Blades transfer and Daryl Porter, both from West Virginia. Total, they have 4 or 5 transfer players that can start. So he got dealt a decent hand, kind of the same thing he got in Oregon. Another man's hard works put together, and he's coming there to orchestrate it, like you said, alumni thing. He coming here to fire up the locker room and fire up the alumni, the fans, and everything. And then we still got the same players. We just see if we can light some fire to their ass and get them out there to play well. So I kind of predict them to go maybe the same thing, 7-5 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe takes them to a nice little bowl game, or something to accredit on the first thing, because that's kind of what the guy does. He can jump in and just start orchestrating stuff. So he's in there moving around, but I don't know. He said the whole defensive line is trash. I got to rebuild I got to get 5 recruits, 4 starters, and somebody's depth.
And somebody
you
else.
know what that says to the guys that was with the old
room?
coach last year? They like, oh man, he don't like us.
You might need to. We might need to hit that transfer portal too, Coach.
Yep. You got any extras on Cristobal? What's your overall opinion? What you think? Any bet angles or anything might happen over here?
I know he's gonna focus on running the ball versus airing it out. Last year, that's kind of what his thing, power running. I looked at like you said, man. For me, Cristobal, I didn't really look at anything to bet with him yet. I need to look at Miami's schedule and kind of gauge the ACC, which is what me and coach is about to do in the next couple of weeks. Break down each conference by conference, and check. But I'm in agreement with you. I don't see nothing better than a 7-6 or they went 7-5, 7-5, maybe 8-4. That's going to depend on what Clemson's looking like and what their schedule shapes up, who's on it, where it's at. But for me, this year, because he hasn't had a chance, like I said, his thing's supposed to be recruiting. So he hasn't had a chance to get his guys or his recruitment class. And so we're going to be playing with last year's recruit. If I look at what he did at Oregon, he steadied the ship. He kept the ship afloat. He did do that. But the Miami ship isn't afloat. It wasn't floating. Oregon was looking good. They were steady in their conference. Well, we don't think of Miami like Miami when I was in high school. Miami used to be like the shit. Niggas like, you ain't nobody doing this no more. Ain't nobody doing this shit no more. When I was coming up, niggas was like the you, man, McGahee. You know what I'm saying? Sean Taylor. Andre Johnson.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the you that I know, and I know the Cubs was Sap and all those guys. But I'm just saying, even my generation, we still had the you. It was still the you. Ken Dorsey and them guys that lost to Claret in that game. Like you, that's not. Yeah, Ray Lewis, Dave. I see you. Yeah, like that's not. Man, when was the last time somebody was like? And this shout out to my boy Moneyline. When we talking college games and college recruits and kids, we always ask ourselves these questions. Ed Reed for sure. If you're a top 5-star recruit out of high school, you going to Miami or you going to SC? And SC not what SC is, but even right now, just right now, you going to Miami or you going to SC with 2 brand new coaches? I'm going to SC.
Bye, I'm going.
What's up, Lincoln? Christopher? No. I'm out of here. You're going to
I
Miami.
heard y'all got good weather out here. I heard y'all got good weather. Let's go.
Oh, man. So you know, I'm kind of like with Cristobal, I'm more of a, I mean, I got to see a couple weeks in action. I got to see how the kids coming out. I got to see. I need to see a couple of weeks before I'm betting on them. But I will keep my eye on them because one way or the other, there'll be a fade. There'll either be a fade or a bet on.
Fade them against big opponents because that's been his Achilles heel all the time. So
that's what it was.
Big SEC. If he has to pay anybody big in the SEC, count him out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was last year. Fade.
But that's Cristobal, man. Let's keep this train moving, man. We gotta. We can sit up here and talk all day.
Yeah, man. Let's go.
I got to keep it going. I want to try to keep our clips kind of nice for the eyes, so y'all can come in, soak up the information, and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Because we got plenty of shows coming. Not only shows, you know, before the season, but during the season. So, you know, it's a lot to go through. But now we coming to one that hits home for me. You know, everybody who knows me know what the deal is right here. My man Brian Kelly, scumbag, transfers over to LSU, man. So Brian Kelly, 60 years old, 19th year in the league. I mean, coaching. Overall record, 166 and 62. As a player, he was a linebacker for Assumption College, not much of a player. His coaching experience started in 87. Positions including general assistant, player coach at DB, recruiting coordinator, offensive coordinator, and head coach. He coached for schools such as Grand Valley State, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame. His accolades was the MIFC, the GLIAC, the MAC, the Big East Championship. And check out this contract. $10 million, 10-year, $95 million deal, 2 courtesy vehicles, a car allowance up to $1,000 a month, along with an interest-free home loan up to $1.2 million to buy a house. Man, it's a nice little sweet deal to get him up out of Notre Dame.
Woo, I like it.
Have you ever had a car allowance?
What's that like? What is that?
You know what I'm saying? $1,000 a month car allowance.
What is that?
That's money they're gonna give him for a car, just like if you get per diem or something. You know, he gets a car per diem.
Like, do you go to the dealership and like pick out a car and like I want this one this week, and then next week.
If you get a lease, you probably could. You could do
like
that.
How
is
that shit working? Like how is that shit working?
Man,
that's crazy.
Well, you got to when you out in the bayou though. Hey, when you out in the bayou, you probably want a brand new car though. You don't want to be out in the bayou with no raggedy nothing.
Nah, I like the interest-free loan on my house for how many years? How many years you said? Who getting that? Who thought of that?
It said, where is this agent? Huh? You know what I'm saying? It says it just says on a $1.2 million house. So an interest-free loan, you pick the house, no interest, you know, up to $1.2 million.
You just paying to buy the house. That's all you do is buy the house for what it's worth.
That's a lot. That's a lot to say. Out in Louisiana, that probably is not that high out there.
Come on, man. I don't need to read off. I mean, I can read off numbers about Brian Kelly. I don't think we need to. I mean, if you Brian Kelly is what he did at Notre Dame, and you a Notre Dame fan, man. You know this. That's one of the hardest schools to compete at, man, because you're at a disadvantage athletically because the kids that can get in LSU, they not getting in Notre Dame. and that's just a fact. It's no way they're not getting it. For him to even do, the man went 92-39 at Notre Dame. And I'm not a Notre Dame fan, to be honest with you. I hate Notre Dame because I feel like they stop niggas from going to the school, and some of these niggas need this opportunity. So fuck Notre Dame. But I feel like you just gotta respect what he was able to accomplish at that school with the talent that he had. And he probably felt like that was the thing that was stopping him from winning the national championship. And with the shit they just gave him, it was like, all right, let me go win and then go to LSU. And I know at the press conference it started out like Rocky. I forgot what he did. He tried to do like a southern accent and it sounded all stupid.
He was with his family. He was with his family.
He tried to do some stupid southern shit. Like, bro, just come down here and play. I'm from the South, bro. We just want you to win, bro. You ain't got to try to act southern or do none of that shit. If you come down here and do what you did at Notre Dame, you will be a god at LSU. They will be a statue of you. Like, it's one thing in the South, bro. All we care about is what all these people care about, because I don't want to put me in some of these groups: religion, football, and barbecue. That's it. That's all we care about: religion, football, and barbecue. I only fuck with 2 of the 3, but that don't matter. So all he gotta do is come and do his, and he's gonna get so much the talent increase of what he had at Notre Dame versus what he's about to get at LSU. And let's keep in mind, he's an offensive coach. The defense talent that he's going to get alone based off it just being LSU is going to have him competing with his offense. Like, it's almost like a match made in heaven. If he can just take being around the Southern culture, then I love everything about the move, to be 100% honest with you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that's where I think the problem resides too. I think he might have bit off a little more than he can chew because he's a clean-cut guy. Always been a clean-cut guy.
It's different.
He has set players down for the year before the league could even get to him.
Can't do that here.
He's coming to a thing where he know so-and-so don't go to class. He don't do nothing.
That's why I said if he can take the culture, then
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said it, but not in these words.
Right.
But you definitely. Right. I, for those that don't understand what you were saying, is he got to fit the culture of money being slid under the table now, players being slid here, and when he did it, he had to want it because he knew what he was getting himself into. But I don't know how that's gonna. But then they say that he got an angry side and he's tough to deal with. So
money money change people, man. Hey, that car allowance will have you overlooking a couple things.
Yeah,
it's not. Catholic,
he got to pull his gangster out. He got to pull his gangster out to remain at LSU.
He's gonna have to deal with some kids that he's never dealt with before. It's gonna be some kids that's coming in that's gonna be like, fuck, coach, I don't feel like doing some shit today, and they might say it just like that. And it ain't that you ain't got to make them do it. You just got to figure out how to communicate with those kids, because it's not going to be the same kids at Notre Dame. You're not going to have the same problems off field at Notre Dame, because I'm sure there was some that he got swept under the rug, but we probably talking about like violating curfew and going to a party.
Something
you
like
might have to deal with some assaults. You know what I'm saying? Some fight. I don't mean nothing sexual. I mean physical. You might have to deal with some fighting. It might be fighting going on in the locker room. It might be like a NFL type locker room. You're finna get a bunch of kids that's from a bunch of different places from the South, and it's just gonna be different from being at Notre Dame.
Absolutely, man.
If he can figure out how to, correct the shit that can be corrected and tame the shit that, and communicate with these kids, then I think he's gonna be all right. I mean, X's and O's, I don't think it's a problem. We're gonna have a problem. Football wise, I think it's just gonna be more on the culture and on the extra shit that he's gonna have to deal with and the pressure, because if it starts out rocky, like he got to at least start out mediocre. It can't start out 5 and 6. He got to win like 8. He got to start out. You know how that pressure get down here, and they let old boy go like 2 years removed from a national championship.
Yeah,
he's gone.
exactly.
He's like, you
But
gotta win.
he was just a stunt dummy. They just had him standing in there while they was doing
That's
what they
true.
was doing.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
But
true.
Brian Kelly, not that guy at all. He's not about to
No,
stand in there
no,
for
no,
nothing.
no, no.
But like he does receive a bad hand. You know, like this team, you gotta think they put the national championship team together and everybody vacated. And it went right
Yeah,
back to him and it went right back to shit. So
right,
last year record they were 6-7, averaged 26 points on offense, gave up 26 points on defense. They returned 6 on offense, 5 on defense. Bunch of players said, I'm out and jumped out. So they bring in transfer quarterback Arizona State, Jaden Daniels. He should get the start. They got running backs led from last year's John Emery, who was pretty good, and they added transfer Noah Kane from Penn State, plus some talent and depth. At wide receiver, they returned Krayshawn Bouette, added transfer Karen Lacey from Louisiana, plus some experienced depth. At offensive line, bad group could go better. Last year, only 114 rushing yards per game with 38 sacks. Lots of unexperienced depth, but Kelly does bring in 2 transfers, Miles Frazier from FIU and Trayman Shorts from Eastern Tennessee University. At defensive line, it needs attention, returning 2 starters plus transfers, Miko Wingo from Mizzou and defensive end Ali Gay all comes back from injury. At linebacker, low depth, but added transfer Greg Brooks from Arkansas. This unit will definitely need some attention. And at defensive back, almost depleted last year's unit, but with transfers they should have 8 guys with starting experience on the field. In total, they have 12 transfers added to the roster. So Kelly's definitely reaching into another bag that he's not really used to, which is the transfer portal. And he did not do well bringing in that damn quarterback from Wisconsin last year because he was not fit for the program. So I don't know who this kind of work. And some of these guys he's bringing over from failing programs like Mizzou and different stuff like that. So it don't look good with the players that he got going into this first year. And another, we've had a 3-10 season with him, so he could do one of those. Let's say what 5-8 or another 6-7. But
he only get one
like
of those.
Cristobal. He need to get at least 8 wins to show some faith.
Yeah,
he
might
playing.
get one of those his first year. He's not getting 2, 3 of those. Well, they might give him 2, but I don't think nothing past that because they paid all that money. But I think
no quarterback
talent difference. I think he'll get one.
Yeah, I think that he's smart enough to get things going. But I mean, Kelly had his coaching flaws at Notre Dame as well. Like, he had to teach himself not to control the offense. He had to learn how to allow on his coaching staff to come in and coach the defense. And he had to learn, and this is all in the years of him being there, he had to learn how to be more of a delegator in the whole situation and knowing when to step in and, stuff like that. But player-wise, he's a great motivator and all that kind of stuff. I say his tenure at Notre Dame, his biggest thing was the quarterbacks that we had. They all went from sugar to shit in a small amount of time. But I think it was because they were all young guys. When he was talking to them when they was young, they listened to everything he said and did it like he said, and it worked for them. The moment those players say, "Oh yeah, I got it now, coach," they go to shit. They get scary and all that. He got some tactics he do, man. Like when we had some of those scary quarterbacks, first thing he do, first down. Oh, you running quarterback sneak. You about to get touched up before we even start playing. So Kelly can do some tough shit. So we're going to see how this works with these players down here. He's going to get the athletes that can react as well to that. But I don't know. At the rate of Georgia's size and what they're doing in Georgia and what they're doing in Alabama, I'm not sure if LSU can get in that third spot within the first 2 years. He's going to need at least 3 years to put this right.
Yeah, he gonna need some time. Just because the conference that he's playing. And we talking like you said, we talking big boy. I call it big boy football. So
yeah,
you just don't come in and automatically jump a Georgia. I mean, you saw how long it took Kirby Smart like 2 to 3 years before he can finally beat Alabama. You know, so you just don't come
exactly.
in and take over the SEC
Exactly.
like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, but I mean, you could do well, just like Lane Kiffin did. Mike Leach does well in some points, but you're not going to beat the right guys. You might do
right.
well against other competition in the SEC, but when it comes to the top three, you're not. You know, none of that works. You get
And then
blown out. You get blown out.
you just mentioned those next three, like the Lane Kiffins, the Ole Misses, and you know, people better look out for Tennessee this year. You know what I'm saying?
Tennessee as
People didn't
well.
catch on last year. So like even that those next three teams are going to be highly competitive.
Yeah,
I mean, even when we talking about Kentucky, so you know,
yeah.
I don't
Because
want to take up. You said we can
hey,
talk football all day. Man.
after capping the SEC, y'all can go back and watch the tape. You know, Tennessee falls in Phil Steele's book at number 2 over there, right behind Georgia. And who's right behind them? The next one he just mentioned, Kentucky. And I think it's a toss up for the 2 spot between Kentucky and Tennessee.
I like
But
Tennessee.
Tennessee's been responding well. They, you know, they did like you said, Lincoln Riley is going to do this year. They had a rough first beginning of the season, and then when it all started clicking in and they started buying into the season, they showed some light. So this year, I mean, but I ain't gonna even lie though. A lot of times these books and all that pre shit, sometimes it be wrong as shit.
Hell
It
yeah,
takes the smallest, it takes the smallest distraction on the team, or
yep.
you know, the smallest discrepancy to lead the team the wrong way
One
because they're
injury.
kids. Yeah, but as far as a coaching perspective and what the milestones that they have so far, they look like the best team for that number 2 spot behind Georgia.
Yes, sir. I
But
agree.
we talk about Tennessee and we was talking about LSU,
Yeah,
man.
that's what I say, man.
Let's
I tried to
go.
stop. I was like, man, we can talk about football. That's why I
Hey,
just
but like, yeah, we
we
could
can talk
talk
about
about
football all day.
football
Dog. It's all
all
right.
day, man.
You just
Now
shut
I
the
don't
door.
mind. I don't mind bouncing around, man. I just like to keep the show
No,
going.
you
Let's
good.
go
We got
to
to
the
keep it
next
going.
one,
Yeah,
man.
man. We
Gotta
kind
go
of
to the next
slightly
one.
behind that right now.
Yeah, but I'm having fun, so who cares?
Yeah.
We'll do what we do, man. But next we're gonna go into this guy Bill Napier. He comes over from Louisiana. Really good coach, 42 years old, 5th year coaching overall. He's 40-12. He playing experience. He was QB at Furman in '99 to 2002. As a coach, he started in 2003, coaching positions including general assistant, player coach at quarterback, tight end, and wide receiver, recruiting coordinator, offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, and head coach. He's coached for schools such as Clemson, Alabama, Colorado State, Arizona State, and Louisiana Lafayette, and now Florida. His accolades are Sun Belt Championship, 2020 and 2021, recent championships.
Mm-hmm.
His contract, it's all right, man. 7-year deal, 51.8 million, and 100 increase yearly. What you think about Napier coming over here to Florida?
I think he should have got the contract. Cristobal got it. This is because you're
Yeah,
not alumni. See, this is what happens when you're not alumni and you don't know anybody. And you know what I'm saying. You got to start from the bottom and work your way up to the top. I actually think this coaching hire is right up there with the Lincoln Rileys and the and Brian Kelly. I think it's a good, if we're gonna just base it off what he did at Louisiana, right? I think it's a great look. Like I said earlier, you got to get new blood into the system. Sometimes you got to go for the guy that you know people don't know or people are not. This man took. Listen to this: 7-7 his first year, right? All right, first year he just took over 7-7. Next year he goes 11-3, 10-1, 12-1. 8-0 in the conference the last year, 7-1 in conference in previous years before that, and 40-12 overall for the season. With I think taking them to their like first bowl game, and I mean winning the conference for the first time
yeah.
in
First
forever
conference.
at them, beating Appalachian State, who's been the dominant team in that conference that everybody knows about. Appalachian State. I made in particular, me personally, a lot of money off this team last year because they were fucking rolling. I didn't catch it at the beginning of the season. I'm not gonna lie, act like it was something I was just on from the start. But about week 7, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Coach put me on UL. So shout out to the homie Coach. I think Coach put me on him. and I just rode their ass like the rest of the season, and it was good for me. So I love the hire. I think they're going to do well. I don't. Now the problem is going to be Cristobal with his recruiting. If he can out recruit him, I think he can out coach him. I think he's going to out coach him. But Miami, Florida, recruits in Florida, that's going to determine how that's going to go. But he's going to get way more talented guys than he had at Louisiana to run his system that he was running at Florida. I like this team. I think personally, if you're asking me who's the better hire, aside of Lincoln Riley to USC that we're going to talk about, and maybe with another team we're going to talk about, but he's not a hire, he's more of a replacement. But this is up there with the top 2 or 3 hires for me, honestly. And maybe I'm kind of biased because I like Florida a little bit, but I like this hire, Big Boss. Especially based off what this man did at UL, he's definitely deserving of this opportunity at Florida.
Man, I'm gonna say it like this: the guy gets dealt a decent hand going into Florida as well. Although Florida was 6-7, they did have some close games. They showed some defense at times, and didn't look bad at spots in the season, but just fell on the wrong side. They weren't upside down, but they were close. They averaged 30 points a game. They gave up 26 a game. They're returning 6 on offense and 7 on defense. Mm-hmm. At quarterback, they're returning sophomore Anthony Richardson, who should get the start, but transfer Jack Miller from Ohio State and redshirt freshman Jalen Kitna provide a little more depth. At running back, Napier brings in, player coach transfer Montrell Johnson, but plenty of depth also at running back, so he can get right to it at the running game. Wide receiver, great size, but not much depth, and a little experience, but he adds Arizona State transfer Ricky Purcell. So, he's pretty solid at receiver. On the offensive line, he gets a solid unit with 3 returners, and Napier transfers follower Osiris from Louisiana comes over and helps out on the offensive line. So he should be solid in that respect. On the defensive line, he has no depth, but he's returning standout nose tackle Garvin Dexter, a 415-pounder. No, and 415-pound Desmond Watson. My bad. But this nose tackle, he was a really good nose tackle last year, and now we're getting this Desmond Watson, a big guy on the side of him right there too. So ain't no telling what's going to go down on the defensive line, and you need size when you're playing in the big league. So at linebacker, he got lots of talent and depth, but only returned 2 starters as they get all SEC linebacker Ventrell Miller. At defensive back, he got many experienced returners in addition of Jalen Kimber, a transfer from Georgia. So he has 5 solid transfer players that fit right in solid spots, which is how we've seen the transfer portal work best. When there's specific spots where you need specific players and you go pick the cream of the crop and you're able to plug and play them, this is when you got action. And I think in his first year, if he can get the morale and the team, the troops all together, I think he does spectacular this first year over here at Florida. He might not beat the big dogs for sure because, coming from where he's coming from, it took a little while for him to learn Appalachian State. That's another thing I like about Bill Napier. The way he attacked Appalachian State, okay, this is a problem, and this is how we're going to fix it. And then not only he came back and won it one time, he came back and held it down and won it again. So this is a person that can show an action, make a reaction, and make something of it. So this guy has a high possible. Definitely take these guys anytime you see a plus by their name, because they might even shock one of the big dogs because you got the element of surprise. They're not used to what this guy bringing over here. That first year, element of surprise, he might play a close game to Georgia. He might play a close game to Alabama or something. I'm not saying he's going to win, but we're trying to get that money. So he's going to beat that spread. But that's how I feel about Napier as well, too. So we on the same page with that one, Marley. It's locked in. We got to stay focused. We got to stay focused, stay disciplined, and we're going to ride this one out, man. But let's jump over to my this is the last one from the top 5 coaches. This one is a little debatable, though, and that's Sonny Dykes coming over from TCU, and coming over from where'd Sonny Dykes from SMU to
SMU.
TCU.
Yeah, SMU to TCU.
Yeah, I got my U's all mixed up, but Sonny Dykes, 52 years old, 12th year, overall record 71-63. He played baseball at Texas Tech. As a coach, he started in 97, positions including the general assistant, player coach at quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, and special teams, offensive analyst. This is one of those new positions they got. Offensive analyst at TCU, recruiting coordinator, offensive coordinator, and head coach. So he coached for schools such as Kentucky, Northeast Louisiana, Texas Tech, Arizona, Louisiana Tech, California, SMU, and TCU. His accolades is the WAC championship in 2011. He signs for a simple 6-year, $6 million a year deal. What you think about Sonny Dykes in this spot?
Um, I personally, it's obviously it's TCU. Clearly they didn't want to make like a splash hire. I don't know who else they could have really gotten. I guess is kind of how you look at it. If you look at his records and his accolades and where he's been, Sonny Dykes isn't necessarily a bad. Um, he's not a bad head coach. He's 22-15 at Louisiana Tech, 30-18 at SMU, and kind of brought it, kind of put SMU back on the map a little bit. Especially with the last couple of years, even picked up the recruiting in over there. So it's not a bad hire. You're staying within the state, so obviously he knows the state of Texas. I spoke about this earlier. Top 3 recruiting states. Obviously I'm by his number 1 recruiting state. If you're talking about football, just the way we do high school football is just something. It's something different out here. Like I was telling you off camera, my little league, we already started to go. We already had a week of camp last week and another week a month ago before that, and so we already regular practice right now. My kids today, first week, no shoulder pads, helmets. We already gonna start going over defenses and plays. Like we film study in little league. That's what I'm saying. Like football is just different out here. I'm gonna teach my son how to watch film this year. So, and we already on a whiteboard. He's already learning the number tree, the route tree. So when you're recruiting in Texas, my son's 7, by the way. So when you're recruiting in Texas, you know what I'm saying? When you know the powerhouses and where the talent is, that's what TCU is going to have to do in order to compete, and kind of stay prominent where they've at. They haven't been one like the big time schools, but they've been known as one of those schools that you still have to come to play because they will pop. On any given Saturday, they can pop you and can play tough. The only bad stint he really had was at Cal when he was 19-30 that year, but overall and 10-26 in the conference overall. Other than that, he's been a fairly decent head coach in my estimation. And like I said with SMU, he never won, but he always kept them competitive. You got to think about where he was at and who he was recruiting up against. You got UT, you got Texas A&M, you got Texas Tech, you got U of H. It's a bunch of schools coming in. Even now, before I shut up, because I can just keep talking. You got UTSA. Boys don't know, man. They sneaky good. I've made money off this team for the last 2 years, bro.
Me too.
So y'all ain't been keeping up with UTSA, man. Those road runners. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's hard in Texas, man. If you're not a big dog, and especially now with UIL and money. So I actually think it was a good hire for TCU. I'll say that.
Was it UTSA or SMU who was recently off of some sanctions or something?
SMU is off the same. That's what I'm saying. He the one that brought them back because they're the one that ultimately got the death penalty. Long time ago.
Right. That's what I thought. Yeah. So he did that. That's what makes it a big smash of a hit right here with SMU, because like you said, their accolades are minimum, but it's the fact that they were put together after coming over so much turmoil, and old guy like this come in, he Dusty Baker the crew right there, right? Just an old smooth dude came in there and smoothed everything out, man.
Right.
But
right.
he gets a decent situation coming into TCU now. I don't know. A lot of people may because of the competition in Texas, they may view TCU in different ways. Some people don't give them that much respect, but
Right.
in the world of college football that we in, TCU is always live, baby. They
Live,
always live. But
live.
last year was a bad year for them. Couldn't make no money with TCU last year unless you was fading them. They was 5-7 last year. They averaged 28 points on offense, gave up 34 on defense, so they was highly upside down. But Dykes gets 10 offensive returners, 8 defensive returners. At quarterback, he got a three-way battle with returners with experience. At running back, he has a fine group of returners with addition to transfers. Imani Bailey from Louisiana, Corey Wynn from Florida should be solid. And the receiver core, he has 9 talented returners with experience, with the addition of transfer tight end Jared Wiley from Texas, um, and some new talent from the freshmen. On offensive line, he has low in depth, but he has transfers from SMU and Arizona State. On defensive line, Dykes expects a lot of his 3-man front with 2 great returners with help from transfer Tyron Mitchell from Georgia. At linebacker, he has 4 talented returners and transfer Terrence Cooks from Texas and Johnny Hodges from Navy. Defensive back, this should be the defense's most solid unit with everyone returning except one, and they add transfer from Colorado and Mizzou and ULM. So 10 solid transfer players on the roster, along with some good talent coming from last year. So looks in good shape. As a smooth old dude, he should be able to slide in there and get the best out of him.
Yep, yep. And then Big 12. We don't know. We'll talk about one of the teams here in a second. Could have a drop off there. Texas isn't what Texas was, So he has a great chance to surprise some teams. I wouldn't bet on them to win it, but I think they definitely could be live again this year. Maybe not quite this year. We'll see how they start, but like I said, I like the hire, and I think he can at least get them to what they were, which I think was a respectable opponent, and for people like us, like you said, live any given Saturday.
Live, man. But I don't know if they'll be so live, but if he does do a good job, and they did so bad last year coming in here, if it sneaks past the books, we might get some good numbers messing around with TCU. And if he does well, he exceeds 5 wins, and I think the guy can get 7 wins maybe. I ain't seen the schedule to pick him off, but
I gotta look at the schedule.
Yeah, with the talent with the talent that he has, he should be able to do something out of conference, and then he should be able to at least scale some of the bottom feeders from the conference, and then maybe get a big win. Element of surprise again right here in the conference. Well, yeah, he's going from Texas to Texas, but maybe he can slide up on one of those big schools and get a win somehow.
I think he can beat UT.
Think so?
I don't believe in Stark though, so maybe I'm a little biased because I think I think he's definitely the wrong guy for the job.
Yeah, I think we definitely that's probably one of our biggest downfalls in sports betting, especially when it's a sport like college football that you love so much. Your biases. How do you get rid of them damn biases, man? There's certain teams you just look and be like, nah, I ain't messing around.
I faded Texas a lot last year and came up. So,
some years it might work, but some years it don't work at all.
I fucking agree.
But that's it right there for the top 5 coaches that they had on 24/7 Sports or something. That was they listing. And let's look at their replacements. I think the replacements were a lot more exciting, a lot more hopeful, and we might find some gems out of the replacements as well. I learned a little bit about some of them that I didn't know before, and I don't know. These replacements kind of look a little more fresher to me. I mean, like you said, other than Lincoln Riley and maybe Brian Kelly, but and maybe Napier, but these guys look good too. So you got Brent Venables, 51 years old, first year overall record. He ain't did nothing yet. And he comes in for Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. As a player, Kansas State linebacker 1991 and 1992. As a coach, immediately in 1993, he started coaching positions including general assistant, player coach at linebacker, defensive coordinator, assistant head coach, and head coach for schools such as Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Clemson. His accolade was the Broyles Award in 2018. Venables been floating with the head coach job since 2012 when he decided to remain at Clemson, where he ended up being the highest paid assistant, making $1.7 million as an assistant at Clemson. His contract is a 6-year deal, $7 million a year, $100,000 annual increase, $600,000 annual retirement contribution. So maybe he's deciding to stay a long way right here. I mean, the guy's only 51. If you're trying to be here for the next 10 years or something, but he's committed 100%, and the guys like him. So what you feel about Venables right here stepping into Oklahoma?
I he's the guy that everybody been trying to lure from Clemson for the last couple of years, and that's why they paid him all that money. One of the I think second highest paid contract for an assistant in the league, and we're gonna see if that's true. Clemson did, defensively they were in his tenure, they were good. I don't know if that's a result of more of talent or scheme, because I'm like, they were the big dogs of the ACC. It's not like they had to go up against a gauntlet to get where they had to get to. We're talking about Louisville and North Carolina and Miami. We just talked about the U. So it's not like, in the years they played the Alabamas in the national championship, they had the fucking best quarterback on the field, both Watson and California, pretty hair. I can't think of his name. I call him Sunshine from Alabama because that's what
I like calling him Sunshine too.
Yeah. I call him Sunshine.
I can't think of anything. I know you talk about though. Exactly. Trevor. Damn.
Fuck. Man, we know who I'm talking about though. Goddamn it. Sunshine. Shit. Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine. Yeah, just like in the movie.
Sunshine. Yeah, I call it Sunshine for remember the Titans. But yeah, him. So but I mean, I guess I like the hire. It's not a bad hire, but I kind of like don't know. It's kind of one of those things like I don't know what he's gonna do. And then when you couple that on, he better win now. I know that much. Because when you couple that in with them moving to the SEC, bro, it's only gonna get harder. It's not about to get easier. So I know they hit the transfer portal. I know you're gonna go over that when we're done talking about it. They hit the transfer portal hard, and then it was something they kind of had to do because Lincoln Riley kind of took the quarterback and he took a couple other top receivers, so it's something they had to do. We're gonna see if his scheme works. It's in the Big 12, so I'm not high on the Big 12. It's like it's okay. Like I like Baylor, I like Oklahoma State. It might be about it. I'll once we do the breakdown, we'll see. But like I said, I think he should win out. I like the move, but
well, I think it's a flip flop from Lincoln Riley. More offensive guy going over to a more defensive guy. So it addresses what they've been trying to address for years, which is the defense. So maybe the alumni just tired of having weak defense and all these old fancy quarterbacks and offenses. So I don't know how I mean, with the recruits that Lincoln Riley landed him, he may be able to do something with that offense. But if he can come in and apply pressure on the defense, then maybe we see a new Oklahoma team that we haven't seen no more. We get a under Oklahoma team or something like that.
But the talent on the defense, because Lincoln Riley did recruit no defensive talent.
Right. But I mean, like you say, scheme has a little bit to do with it too. So if scheme looks good, it might be a go. But these replacement quarterbacks, I like the fact that they get good stuff coming into these situations. He gets a team that went 11-2 last year, averaged 39 points on offense, gave up 25 points on defense, returning 5 on the offense, 5 on the defense. So both the 21 quarterback left the program, but Venables brings in transfer Dylan Gabriel from UCF. Guys pretty decent. Gabriel, I seen him as a gamer at times. Sometimes at UCF, he was willing to play ball out there.
Yeah.
And he's worked with their new offensive coordinator Levy when he was there as well. So they bring together an offensive coordinator and a quarterback that makes sense. At running back, they're returning second back Eric Gray. He leads this unit with redshirt freshman Marcus Major and 2 true freshmen for some depth. So he's getting some of that talent that Lincoln Riley left there at running back.
Yep.
With wide receiver, this loses several players from 2021, but brings in transfer L. Shelton from Arizona State, J.J. Hester from Mizzou, and he has some true freshmen and get back Theo Wise, who missed 2021. So that's kind of going to play by committee. With Sue, who steps up at that position. Offensive line, they lose 2 good men, but add talented transfers from Cal, TCU, and O-line coach Bigboss returns another season. So they got to keep the same offensive line coach, which should help them keep a solid line. So you got a solid line, and you got a quarterback that knows the system. You got receivers by committee, and you got a running back who could really run the ball. So the offense doesn't look too bad going into this. Now, the defensive line, they lose the top 3 talents from 2021, but add transfers Jonah from Hawaii, Jeffrey from Tulane. This unit needs some tender love and care to bring it together to compete, especially, on the big levels. And that linebacker, a lot to rebuild after losing a few players. Vertical moves a few pieces around and adds T.D. Roof, who is son to the defensive coordinator, Ted Roof. So you got another player, player daddy coach situation over there. And I've seen that work a lot of times in college football, I guess, you probably know more about that coaching down there in Texas, but, having your son on the field, he sees your vision a little better and all that good stuff. He's able to get the players around him to buy in. So it makes a difference.
Makes a huge difference. Like, I coach my son's little league team, obviously. And even with kids I don't coach, kids' dads that I know work with their kids, I'll put them at a more important position before another kid. Because I know, like, his dad's going to take time to teach him what I tell him. I just got to go to his dad and be like, hey, work with so-and-so on X, Y, and Z. I know that dad's going to take 20 minutes. It's not even a lot of time, man. 20, 30 minutes. Hey, so let's go outside, and work on. Like when I take my kid outside to go work on the passing tree, it's 1,000 degrees outside. I'm not out there all day, fucking 20 minutes. Run number 1. What's the number 1? Flat route. You didn't know all this shit. Run number 2. All right. We only out there 15, 20 minutes. It's cool. But it's, that, like you said, that having a coach's kid with him, it almost ensures that he's going to put in that little extra time at home that all coaches ask all kids in the locker room, what I'm saying? Hey, when you go home, study your playbook, or hey, when you go home, do this. Every coach asks their sons or kids to do that. But when it's a coach's kid, that they're just going to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost, by the time my son gets in high school and I'm not coaching him, it's just going to be a thing that we do together. You know what I'm saying? Bring your film home, son. Let's go over it.
You know how y'all do it. You coach from the stands.
That's how we do. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly how we do. So you instill this shit in them early. What's up, Razor? I see you, my guy. What's going down?
What up, though? Cash it. Cash is in the building.
I'm out, man.
What up with you, Razor? But I think he can sustain a little bit of what they got going on at Oklahoma, but I think he does fall in the win category a little bit. Maybe 9-win season for them.
I got to look at the Big 12. I think talent alone, man, he can win the Big 12. I mean, if he can do what he's supposed to, because he's the defensive guy, right?
Yeah, so, but I think it's too many transfers, man. Too many transfers. This is your first year coaching, and you got all these players on the team that been coached by other coaches.
Who's the competition in the Big 12? Oh, excuse me, Oklahoma State.
Baylor.
Oh yeah, he's not. I'm sorry. I got way ahead of myself. This man is not winning the Big 12.
No, he ain't 12.
He don't got a chance, man. That's the big. That should be the Big 12 championship right there. I look at schedule and sides, but Baylor,
Yeah.
play. I love fucking Baylor.
They win money. They win money.
And the books
They had
don't.
you.
The books just they still think Baylor, and or maybe the public still thinks like it's Baylor. Like, you know what I'm saying? So money's gonna come in on the other team.
Man, let me keep this moving along, man. I got a reservation on a whole nother show.
Hey, let's
way
keep going.
behind.
Let's go.
But yeah, let's keep it going, man.
Real quick. Let's go.
We're gonna jump. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit too, but we're gonna jump to Dan Lanning over here replacing Cristobal at Oregon. As a player, he played a little bit 2004 to 2007 playing linebacker. As a coach, he started in 2011 as general assistant, player coach, DB coach, inside linebacker coach, outside linebacker coach, recruiting coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach. So the guy can recruit a little bit. He coached at schools such as Pitt, Arizona State, and Sam Houston, Alabama, Memphis, Georgia, and now Oregon. His accolades is college playoff champion in 2015 with Alabama and 2021 with Georgia. Lanning has worked with notables such as Ty Graham, Mike Norvell. His contract is a 6-year, $29 million per year deal with a $100,000 annual increase. What you think about that?
I mean, shit. We're gonna see, man. He's been around some good head coaches. Is the best thing I can really say about this guy. And he's recruiting. So Oregon's gonna ask him to do the same thing that they asked Cristobal. Excuse me. Cristobal to do, just steady the ship. The good thing about him is SC and UCLA is leaving in a couple years. So just hold on, buddy. All you gotta do is hold on, buddy. If you just hold on for like 2 or 3 years, keep the recruiting up, you're good. Your talent will cruise you right along to the top of the sorry ass Pac-12, in my opinion. But I like what they are trying to do. If they're going to go this route, they're trying to focus on defense. So you go get a guy from one of the best defenses in one of the best defensive conferences in the league. You go get a guy from Georgia. Now, I don't know if that was what Georgia did last year, the year before. Was that talent or was that Kirby Smart? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We'll soon find out. So is it a good hire? I think it remains to be seen, just to kind of keep things going without we already running behind.
Yeah, I think Oregon sometimes when it comes to recruiting coaches, they get a little confused. Yeah. Like they brought in Cristobal thinking like we stepping it up a notch, and he came over, bending the team in different ways. I mean, it was all set up as a West Coast offense. The players come there to throw the ball and catch it, run around and all that stuff. Don't change that for the players. You bringing this guy in from a whole different ball game. I mean, even though he's coming from SEC, which is the big leagues. I don't know if the players over here are ready for a coach from the big leagues, let alone a fresh young coach such as himself. But he gets a team that was 10-4. They averaged 31 points on offense, 27 points on defense, which wasn't the greatest. They returned 8 on offense, 7 on defense. At quarterback, it's the most controversial part. Is most likely they get transferred Bo Nix to play offense for the offense. And then at running back, they lose their top 2 from 21. They also return 2 and add 2. At wide receiver, after losing 4 of 6 in 2021, this unit will be stacked with depth with 11, led by Chris Hudson. Offensive line, this group of 9 talented linemen could possibly compete at a high level. So he gets a great offensive line. Defensive line, 4 of the top 6 will return with 2 transfers from Nebraska and Washington. At linebacker, only lost 1 player from last year, all talent back, including Noah Swell. At defensive back, not much talent returning, but they added transfer from Colorado. Looks like the unit will need the most attention on defense will be his defensive back. And this guy has a little background at defense, so I think that he'll be straight over there. But the Pac-12 is wide open. If Lincoln Riley gets to a slow start, he could take over in his first year. His main objective would probably be to beat Utah and beat USC. And I'm pretty sure he can get UCLA under and Arizona State. They come with that, so he's got a potential to do great his first year out. We'll see how that goes, but I'm a true believer in it takes about 3 years to build a really strong team. But some of these coaches nowadays can jump out there and give it a shot on the first try. But yeah, let's keep it moving, and jump over into this one right here that touches home again. We at this third spot. Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame. I learned a lot about this guy, breaking this guy down. A bunch of stuff I didn't know. He's 36 years old, first year as head coach. He was a linebacker for Ohio State, 2004 to 2008. He was in the NFL draft in 2009. He's an NFL guy.
All-American linebacker.
Yeah, All-American linebacker. He's a stud. He was a stud as a player all the way. And then his coaching experience, 2010, various positions, general assistant, player coach at linebacker, defensive coordinator, and head coach for Ohio State, Kent State, Purdue, Cincinnati, and now Notre Dame. He was the defensive coordinator of the year by 24/7 Sports in 2020. He got a 5 million a year contract, which is decent. I also learned that the guy was highly touted recruit for the NFL too. They want him over in NFL bad. So I guess Notre Dame just said, we're gonna take the easier of the bunch instead of going to look for a coach. If everybody's coming for this guy because he could be an NFL guy and he's already right here, we just go moving on up, which is decent because Kelly left him with some decent players other than the quarterback position. He left him with some decent players and some depth and all that good stuff that he could work with. But I'm not going to even go too deep into them because I'm speeding up now. But basically, from watching the spring game, the quarterback position is shot. Like, this is his defense from last year. So he's going to definitely advance on a defense that was only allowing 19 points a game. So they may even do better on defense because the way he coaches defense over there, it's ridiculous. He makes stars out of some kids that ain't all the way stars. He don't got no big 400-pounder or none of that. He got some great athletes out there playing sideline to sideline. So I think the defense is going to do well, but the offense, if they leave him on the field too long, it could be a disaster. So they're going to have to establish the run game. They got some depth at the running back. At offensive line, they didn't lose much, but offensive line was shady last year at times, and couldn't protect the quarterback. So he's gonna have to focus on the offensive line to get the running game going. But I don't think we'll be throwing the ball up and down the field because I don't think we'll have a passer at quarterback. We'll have probably somebody that kind of just runs the script. And on defense, it'll be the same defense back at it again. So only thing I can say about Notre Dame is under going into the season.
Definitely. Who's the quarterback? Which one is it? Is it the little short kid that got in some playing time? Like
they got Tyler Buckner. Yeah, Tyler Buckner. He was a little firecracker.
I kind of like him, man.
I did like him. And he, I think it's one of these two, Tyler Buckner or Drew Payne. One of them has some deeply rooted Notre Dame history in their family.
I like the little freshman kid that came in that can kind of run around a little bit. That was like a little firecracker. I like that kid. I watched.
Man, I think that Marcus Freeman needs a true passer
right now with him.
No, we're not gonna do that.
But I do like the fact if you in a couple of years, if you groom them now with that defense, it's not like the schedule is going to be super tough. So you probably can fight with them and get them ready. But to focus on Freeman, man, I take up a lot of time. I think it's the best hire Notre Dame, but especially based off that. I'm not gonna say the best hire Notre Dame could have gotten, but I think if you want to at least keep what Kelly had, which is probably the best Notre Dame has had in recent history, those kids believe in this coach Freeman right now. Like they're all in, fucking run through a brick wall for this coach, and that's like the first thing you got to get these guys to buy in to the system. On top of the fact that I think he's a good coach and he's going to relate, and I think right now recruiting for Notre Dame is going to be at an all-time high with this guy in right now. All he has to do was have some success for the next 2 to 3 years, and I think right now they'll be able to get other talent that at least the talent that could get in their school that would have went somewhere else. He'll keep those guys there. And in particular, what I mean is not to hurt anybody's feelings in here. When that black head coach goes into a black kid's parents' living room and tell them that, hey, I got y'all little boy out here in this Catholic school surrounded by all these white people, et cetera, and what's going on in today's time, the shit that Chip Kelly couldn't say, you know what I'm saying, and look into those kids' eyes and believe them, he can do that. So some of those kids, or at least the ones that are able to get in Notre Dame, he'll be able to get them that Chip Kelly couldn't get. All he has to do is prove it a little bit this year. And if he does that, which, like you said, defensively, they're going to be good. So I think he can succeed. I think he can even take it a little bit farther than Kelly if he gets the offense going, because we know how good the defense will be.
Yeah, plus he got all those accolades to show the kids, the big diamond rings and all that good stuff, too. They eat that stuff up, too. Let's keep it rolling, though. I'm going to jump over into the next one. You got to help me with this name again. Michael Dormant?
Shit, hold on. Let me look at it. Let me put my notes up.
DeSormo.
No, that's not it. Yeah, DeSormo. That's it.
Yeah, Michael DeSormo. 36 years old, first year coaching. As a player, he was quarterback for Louisiana Raging Cajuns 2005 to 2008. Was drafted to the NFL in 2009 and also played some CFL. As a coach, from 2013, various positions including player coach at QB, tight end, running back, co-offensive coordinator, and head coach at schools such as Ascension, Apoxel, and Louisiana. So a small school in Louisiana is all he's been to. He's won his first bowl game at head coach. He's 1-0. Interesting fact, Michael is distant cousin to the horse jockey Kent DeSormo. He's making $5 million a year. I mean, he's got a 5-year deal for $3.8 million a year. I'm not too sure about this guy overall. Right. I mean, he's stepping up from, this screams alumni again, because I don't see no valid, other than his playing career, which he knows a lot on the offense. But I don't know what he's bringing to the table and what Napier left there is two different products. And it's going to take some time for them to put that together. And I think the Sun Belt is going back to App State after this year. So I don't know. I don't expect the best out of this team. But, only time will tell. It's definitely one that you watch before you start putting your money on them.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. It's kind of one of those, we'll see how good he really is. He's taking a major step up in conference. Luckily, Bill Napier left him. The cupboard's not bare as far as talent goes. So if he can probably steady the ship, I assume he can keep the recruits up. But like you said, we're talking about a whole reverse course with the coach.
Yeah, he has the quarterback automatically. The spot is wide open. Running back, he has a couple returners. At wide receivers, he got a little tight end tandem. He got returning. The offensive line, he lost everybody except for one. He bring in a couple transfers. That's a full rebuild on the offensive line. I mean, it just gets a little worse as it goes down. So defensive line will be the weakest units on defense. Not much talent, but workable. Linebackers lost 3 from 2021. Now they're moving last year's stars position, free safety, and orchestrating some defensive movements to create some depth. So, it's just too many moving parts on one team in 1 year for a young coach like yourself. So if that, I mean, I would
sounds like a favorite.
Probably have to vote him least likely to succeed.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
What Napier had over there at Louisiana was special to the way he built it. And I don't think this guy just comes in and continues his legacy like that. So we're looking at that one. Any last words on that one?
Nah, man. Not with all that change you just named. I I agree with you. It's probably the least likely to succeed there.
Yeah, too many moving parts, man.
Too many, way too many moving parts, way too many.
So we'll give him some time to build it up and see what he does. But I mean, teams like Louisiana, they come across good coaches like that, at points, and they do well, and then they go right back to being, not middle of the pack or below. So
Right.
next we have Sonny Dykes replacement, Rhett Lachey, 39-year-old, first year coaching as well. He was quarterback for Arkansas, 2002 to 2004. He started coaching in 06 as a graduate assistant, player coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and head coach. He coached for Arkansas, Auburn, Sanford, Arkansas State, UConn, SMU, and Miami. Rhett was QB for Gus Malzahn when he coached high school at Harbar High in Arkansas. That's just a fun fact about Rhett. And his salary wasn't available on this one. So this one didn't get the greatest deal in the world, but gets more opportunity than anything coming in here as a first-year coach. So I don't know what his track record could be. Obviously, he's an offensive guy. On offense, he's putting together, some transfers. He has 15 transfer players total. I mean, kind of a mess. They were 8-4 last year. I don't think that he's going to turn this team too far around over here at SMU.
Yeah.
What Sonny Dykes did there, it was phenomenal for what he did, but taking those same athletes and trying to move them forward, he's only returning 6 on offense, 7 on defense, and he got 15 transfers moving around on your first year coaching. What are you going to say to these guys? I mean, what they going to do when it's time to pack and load up to travel? Like, how are you going to teach this group how to travel when they've been traveling with all different teams from all over the states and all that kind of stuff? It's just a difficult job.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I don't know what the board was thinking. I don't know how many on the staff that was there that oh shit. Who coach are we replacing?
He replacing Sonny Dykes at SMU.
Yeah, Dykes. I don't know how many people on the staff he took, why they couldn't recruit within. If the outside process was going that bad, where you have to go to Rhett Lachey. And no disrespect, like you said, this is more of an opportunity for him. I mean, he's been the only thing that I can really dig up on my man was that outside of what you named, he worked under Gus Malzahn, was that when he was the offensive coordinator at Sanford in 2011, he took them from 17 points a game to 26 points a game, from 57 total offense to 46 nationally, and the offense went from 4 to 6 to 6 to 5. He installed a high tempo offense. That's like the best I can do. And I feel like for SMU, from where Dykes got them, like, you can do better than that, bro. Like, come on, LCU. Like, come on, man. We can do it. Between him and our man that's replacing at UL, they're gonna have some. They're gonna have some. It's gonna be a rough year.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you have great coaches in certain spots who do well for a small period of time, and then when they're gone, they're gone. You don't. I mean, if you was in there with a great coach, you hear he leaving. In today's world, these kids, they hitting the transfer portal. The best ones hitting the transfer portal. The few gonna stick around and try to ride it out with the new coach. But I mean, unless the guy was already implemented in there and he steps up, then he has some type of. He knows the players in some kind of way.
Get somebody that know the kids that's like better than Rhett Lachey. I mean, like I said, this is no disrespect to Rhett Lachey, because he could come in and do phenomenal, but
he coming in like a straight dictator. He's just going.
I don't know, man. It wasn't no Texas coach. You can go steal off somebody else.
I mean, they got enough schools right there. They could have got. Where's the alumni play? Where's the alumni play?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the board was going on, what was going on with the board on this one. But I think they definitely took a step backwards after he had them going. I think they were ranked last year for like the first time.
Well, man, they was doing really good at the beginning of the season. They had some slip ups in the middle, but I mean, obviously they were doing the good for Sonny Dykes to get the TCU job. Right. So they were impressive at a lot of parts of the season, but it didn't fall fair at the end. But I don't think it's going to get any better going forward.
It's definitely
not. But it's been so much fun, man. We got to do this over and over and over and over and over again, and maybe not so many topics to deal with on one day.
Right.
But we definitely got to come up and chop it up. Maybe we start spreading out some of these first week games and break them down one by one. Maybe one or two at a time and have some fun because we jumped all over the place. I think we talked about every conference.
Hey, I can. When it comes to football, I'm not gonna lie, man. I can talk. So sometimes, I can.
Oh man, I love it, man. And when we bouncing around subjects and all that, it's all because it's passionate, man. And I'm like you. I got my magazines and all my papers out here and stuff. And,
yeah.
As all this stuff is going through your brain,
all over the place.
yeah. And these shows help us out because I go back and listen to them, and I can remember some of the shit that I wrote down. Like I don't got it already in writing, but I got to hear it so I can remember what I was thinking because so much be going through the mind right now. But shoot, I know I'm gonna be on with y'all soon, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you'll break down.
That's the next one,
to that,
and then
West.
Yeah, and then maybe we could come back and do another conference, one of y'all favorite conference. I'll step it up.
For sure.
I'll step it up and jump in there with you guys.
For sure, man. Let me know anytime. You're more than welcome. The college show, once the season starts, we're gonna do every Tuesday. So, man, anytime you want to let us know, you want to, hey, let me jump on this Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? You already got the infinite invite all season.
For sure, man. We're going to have some fun, man. But thanks, everybody in the chat, for showing up, man. Who Bangin Sports with Brother and Bets. This is a merger that ain't going nowhere. We climbing to the top. Me and my man Marley, Coach, Hove, Teece, Wham, Big Ragoo, the whole squad, Dom Ricci, Marlon. You know how we get down. But make sure you follow us all and stay focused, man. Catch us on the next show. Anything you want to say to the folks before we get out of here?
Man, y'all check me out at Marley Bets and follow at Brothers and Bets as well. And like always, man, let's beat Vegas.
I like it. We signing out, man.